if he's anywhere nearly that good today, that he will be the one to beat. I'm expecting an aggressive steer here in the short field from post 2.
And it seems like he wins a race down here every fall. He's 9 years old right now, needs an aggressive pilot as well. McDonald not afraid to put the gas pedal down and hustle him. I think Abs Beach Boy is the horse to beat in race 1. I got a horse for you in the second race. It's a late closing trot. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that number 1 Market Share will be 1-9 and that he will win by daylight.
You know, oddly enough, Sam, I ended up on the same horse here, Market Share, in the late closing event. Obviously talked to trainer Linda Toscano there last week, and we found he wasn't going to be in the Futurity, no question. A heavy favorite, the richest horse thus far in 2012 with over $1.7 million on his card. Market Share, probably an open-linked winner in the second.
And it's kind of interesting, his co-owner, William Augenstein, is sponsoring the race. It's the Winner's Circle Blueberries. He actually used to race horses and quit to develop a blueberry farm in New Jersey that's been incredibly successful. Got back in as a part owner of Market Share and has bought some high-priced yearlings down here at Lexington as well. So Market Share, it's going to be great to see him in action. It's a maintenance race for him, but still in this field. And there's some nice colts in here, don't get me wrong, but he just towers over the group. Moving on to the third race, Well Said division, late closer for the 2-year-old Colden Gelding Pacers. I honestly believe what comes around goes around in harness racing. Roar has had more than his share of bad luck. He was wiped out at the top of the stretch last week. Clean trip today. He jogs.
Well, no doubt about it that he was certainly wiped out last week. Trainer Linda Toscano will look to make it back-to-back wins probably here in race 3, following Roar up behind Market Share. But he was under a bit careful handling there last week. Sam, not really sure. Tetrick was very careful with him. I'm actually going to try against him here with Fresh and Fast there from the inside. Trainer Bob McIntosh, an aggressive steer from Campbell last time. I would expect the same here today.
And boy, those McIntosh horses have all been pointed for this meet. It looks like they're all racing great, and John Campbell having a heck of a fall trots as well. Fourth race, first division of the Glenn Garnsey Memorial for the 3-year-old Pacing Fillies. Romantic Moment did get beat by Shell Escape last time out. Number 1, Shell Escape. This track plays into her style of racing perfectly. Number 2, Romantic Moment, was used hard twice.
Used very hard there. I'm actually going to try the 4 fillies coming out of the same division last week, starting with Romantic Moment. Just used very hard there early through the quick fraction. Still dug in very well to finish second. Shell Escape beat her off a perfect trip. Big McDeal was caught up in that early speed duel as well. Hopefully she will get a much nicer journey from post 1, possibly behind the favorite here. Really like a price underneath as well, Sam, to the outside. The 7 Lightning Page. Now, she was shuffled back badly there at the head of the lane last time. She sprinted back past many of her rivals down the stretch to pick up third. I was very impressed by that effort. I'd expect another off-the-pace rally here, and should be a good price from post 7.
I've always been a fan of Sarandon Blue Chip. Unfortunately, she totally wiped out the cover flow last week when she went off stride first over. But if she's halfway right, this track should suit her perfectly. I think she can get a spot on the ticket. Fifth race, American Jewel. After the Jugette, where she didn't seem to handle the half that well, but still raced her heart out, came back with a decisive win. But the line's a bit deceiving because there was that interference behind her, and she was able to scoot away from the field at the top of the stretch.
It is a bit deceiving, but she couldn't have possibly looked any better here. Got away with a nice opening half there, 56-1, just sprinted home from her rivals, as you mentioned there, particularly after the confusion. I thought a couple of wild cards in here, though. What are we going to see from the 5 Dorita Hanover and the 6 Economy Tear? Economy Tear took the worst of it there last week as she was wiped out by Sarandon Blue Chip. Dorita Hanover has a lot of early speed as well, though. Should be interesting to see how those two fire off the gate.
And the more early speed, the better the chances of number 7, Shell Escape, who has just been closing like a cheetah driving a bullet train in her last few starts, and she'll be charging hard again in the late stages. Race 6, another division of the Well Said for the 2-year-olds. What about the horse from the Ohio Fairs, number 1, I Am What I Sham? Dave Miller's choice of 4 in here, 6 for 10. I know he beat some short fields in Ohio, but he beat a nice group at the Meadows. I think he's okay.
Well, he certainly hasn't done anything wrong. You can't hold anything against him over his last several starts. I'm not sure if he does pack the speed that will be needed here against this crew. I actually like my long shot play of the day in here, Sam, and that is number 6, Ultimate Beach Boy. Now, I did like him last time as well from post 10. He never got worked into the race there, and he was actually got caught up behind a breaker and a bit of confusion around the turn as well, even though you don't see it there on the line. Back on September the 13th, he was second behind Matt Western. We saw Matt Western come back to race super Cooper here the other day, a first over winner in a late closing event. I think Ultimate Beach Boy has a big shot at here. The price will be right. He's 8-1 in the morning line.
And I had to use him on the ticket as well because you liked him so much, and I certainly respect your handicapping abilities. Moving on to the 7th, the division of the International Stallion Stakes Grand Circuit 2-year-old Colt Pacers. Fool Me Once looked really good a week ago, but we've got 3 round 1 winners, Twilight Bonfire and Rockin' Amadeus, who was second, place first.
Well, Rockin' Amadeus may have been the most controversial winner in the opening week here of Grand Circuit action, but nonetheless did get placed forward for the win. It was a very nice effort as he finished up second behind odds on Aculius there under the line anyway. Fool Me Once, a very impressive colt as well, though. He moved to the top through a quick opening half there, 54 and change. Still dug in very well. I was overly impressed by him. I think it's between the 1 and 2 here in this one.
We move on to the 8th race, second division of the International Stallion Stake. No matter how you feel about the DQ of odds on Aculius last week, one thing is for sure, he was the best horse in the race, and we saw him sprint twice, once on the backstretch, once finishing. In my mind, next to Captain Treacherous, he's the second best 2-year-old pacing colt in the country.
And it should be a nice showdown when we see those two hook back up once again. And as you mentioned, a change of tactics there last week. He was a heavy favorite. Campbell drove him like he was the best there with the aggressive move. But he hooks up here with the New York champ, Dr. Butch, who has never been worse than second. 8 wins, 3 seconds, and only 11 career starts. Dr. Butch going to be tough in there, and he should be sitting close or on the lead.
And yesterday we saw 3 Grand Circuit winners coming out of the New York Sire Stakes here. And then there was an overnight horse, Rider Blue Chip, a New York Sire Stakes finalist who won as well. So certainly that program with a big impact on the card here yesterday at the Red Mile. So we move on to the 9th race. This is just going to be a shootout. 2 of the best horses in trailing positions in the second tier. Just a lot of different things happening here. We've got 2 horses fresh into the Ron Berg barn and Hillbilly Hanover and Damon Blue Chip. Mel Mara draws post 10 after a great win a week ago. What are your thoughts here?
Well, Mel Mara, as you mentioned there, post 10, probably a career-best performance there last time. Wasn't a lifetime mark, but he came first up there into that back half, 53 and 2. Just an unbelievable performance. You know what the big field Tetrick will be on the gas, off the wings. I'm going to come back, though, with Bolt the Doer, and mainly, Sam, because of the price. He had a dull effort there last week. He actually came up sick, according to the connections. I think if he is back healthy today, he has just as good of a shot as anyone in here. And the price likely to be decent there. I expect him to be somewhere in that mid-level range, 6 to 8-1.
Certainly his A game is good enough, no question about that. Hard to say how he'll race after that sickness that was reported a week ago. Same thing for a Rock and Roll Dance. You're looking at the best price of the year on this horse, most likely. I mean, I think your 4-1 morning line right in the 4 or 5-1 range is what he'll go off at. If Yannick could just follow John Campbell with thinking out loud, that horse can kick with anybody. Maybe those two could draft up together, and even though they have the second tier, I still think they're the 2 best horses in the race.
Well, it should be very interesting. I went back and forth there with who even to make the morning line favorite in that one. Gave the slight edge, of course, to Thinking Out Loud, and fastest last quarter I have ever seen. He just roared by his rivals in deep stretch there last time. 25 flat. Obviously razor sharp for a razor sharp barn right now, trainer Bob McIntosh.
And we didn't even mention the world champion 2-year-old Sweet Lou, who's got just as good a shot as everybody in there as well. Moving on to the 10th race, another division of the International Stallion Stakes. I went out on a limb with market share earlier in the day. I'm going to go out on a limb here with Captain Treacherous, best 2-year-old pacing colt in the sport.
I can't believe I continue to follow you on those bold selections, Sam, but I'm with Captain Treacherous here as well. Just an unbelievable mile. It reminded you of maybe Art's Place or something there last week. He just sat on the outside. When Tetrick asked him for go, he just sprinted by his rivals down the lane. Just a big, big effort there as he arrives here off 4 consecutive victories. Captain Treacherous, no question, the one to beat here in race 10.
And actually, as the race developed last week, I thought he might be in some trouble. When they were on the far turn, I said, wow, maybe he's not going to reach, but he just blew by him in the stretch. Certainly a special horse. We close it out with another division of the International Stallion Stake. Like the 4 Sir Richard Zetam last week, he was closing fast, kind of ran out of racetrack. I think he'll improve from there, but Johnny Rock with an easier trip is right with him. And what do you do with Apprentice Hanover?
Well, I'm not sure what to do with Apprentice Hanover. I watched that replay back over a few times there last week, and he really made a break for no particular reason in my mind. He was just moving there decently and went into a break there just midways down the stretch, maybe even a bit sooner than that. I like Johnny Rock a lot, though. He got caught first over there against odds on Aculius last time and still dug in very well down the lane to hold third, and he was placed second, obviously. Thought maybe with a smoother journey here, he is the one to beat in the finale. He's 4-1 on the morning line. Like the price as well, but I know you're you're high on Sir Richard Z-Tam, and he's sprinted home. Like him a lot here as well. I think it's between those two.
And one last note on the 2-year-old colt pacing races. A couple of the races had interference last week from breakers, so you see a lot of horses with eyes, a lot of horses with excused trips. Could be the best value races to bet, other than probably the Captain Treacherous event.
Yeah, it's good to keep an eye on those. Know your racing back from last week, because you'll see a lot of those races where we had breakers, horses caught in. Should be able to find some value, hopefully, in those races today, if not some of the other heavy favorites on the card.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm excited about today's card. Really looking forward to it. Of course, we wrap up the Red Mile Fall Trots for 2012 tomorrow on Kentucky Futurity Day, post time at 1 p.m. We're about 15 minutes away from the start of today's racing action. Thanks for joining us. Best of luck and enjoy.
Started using Fintac products about 5 years ago, but over the last couple of years, Fintac has been our primary source for all of our equipment needs here on the farm and in the racing stable. The products are durable, they last a long time, they're very user-friendly, and the company itself, people, they're just fantastic.
All Fintac products are available right here at RE Fennels.
With the addition of slots revenue, Sugar Valley Farm is ready to lead Ohio harness racing into the future. The Delaware, Ohio-based operation is the home of stallions like Breeders' Crown champ Pilgrim's Taj, the Rock and Roll Hanover Son Woodstock, Little Brown Jug Heat winner I'm Gorgeous, and Hoosier Cup champion Mr. Wiggles. Ohio has a rich harness racing tradition, and we're poised to lead the industry's revival. For more, go to SugarValleyFarmStallions.com.